Hi.
Hello, everybody. We are so very, very excited to have my good friend Csilla here today. And I first met Csilla when I was wanting some help with my daughter who was homeschooling. And she came along and saved the day pretty well and showed me lots of cool stuff. So if you've got a homeschooling child out there and you'd like some help, Csilla is your person.
That is me.
Yeah, and she's very much on the same page as Joe and I as well. She'll tell you what she did in her life with her own children, and we're really excited to hear more about that and to also talk about freedom and self-governance, self-sovereignty. That's one of the other topics that we absolutely love and are very passionate about, so we're very excited to.
And I would wear red lipstick right now, but it doesn't suit me, and it's all about how you look, okay? Because we're trying to sell this freedom because we don't know what to
and it might
talk
be,
about.
it might be funny too.
Yeah,
yeah,
a little bit.
We're very serious, aren't we?
Very serious.
Us three girls.
So this is something I have written, and it's about freedom. So it's this is very impromptu, but I'm going to show it online here first.
Beautiful.
Yay.
Yay.
So what is freedom to me? Freedom is not a once in a lifetime kind of thing. A place you arrive at and it's forever yours. You know, the stuff seen in the movies, the happy ever after, you know, that lulling you to sleep thing. It's a living, breathing, sovereign kind of thing.
Wow.
It's taking ownership and it's choosing your own path. It's constant adjustment. And most importantly, it's living with your choices and taking responsibility. Finally, it's life of creativity. Human beings are creators and they weave into the fabric of life itself. It is our story, not theirs, whoever they may be. Don't know who they are. I think I do. Freedom is not for free. Boom. There you go.
Woo! Yeah. When did you write that?
A few tears there.
Two days ago. I was a little bit late with this particular assignment that my son gave me, and so I quickly wrote it because I don't know how to do that Asana stuff where you put things in and get organised, because I'm not very organised, but somehow managed to homeschool a few kids, which is really good.
Yeah.
So my story.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, which part? Yeah, I've been here on Earth a little while now. So, okay, so Tim and I have 6 kids between us. We homeschooled 5. So 2 stepsons, 4 that I birthed myself, but I fed them all. So same. We decided to homeschool because we just were not happy with the education system. And it wasn't necessarily something I wanted to go into, but it was something that when you looked into it, you could no longer stomach it.
Yeah.
And you had to go with that mummy gut feeling of, well, I think I have been able to look after my children for the first 5 years, so why on earth would I have to then, give them up at that beautiful golden age where they're actually starting to listen to you, which is really lovely, especially the first intense years. So that's where my journey started, but probably before that, my mum and dad and my brother and I escaped Hungary. I mean Slovakia, which was part of Hungary before, but they took it away, of course, the Russians. It wasn't the Russians, it was the communists. Let's be good with that. And so we escaped when I was 10, and that was a pretty intense time because my mum and dad were 40, and they had to organise themselves for over a year, pay everybody off, and do it by the what do they call it, run by night sort of thing. And my dad, it was just horrible. So that sort of experience kind of leaves you thinking that your parents were that brave, and so I felt like I had to step up in different ways. And I really truly believe that when you get somewhere where it's free, where you get told that it is free, that you will just automatically be walking in freedom. But that's not apparently what happens. You have to earn it. You have to understand it. And it is Tim that actually really showed me what freedom was, because he somehow managed to weave in and out of society and just live his own life. And he was just one of those beautiful examples of living freedom.
Wow.
And talking freedom, but living it as well. Yeah. So I had this really unusual story where, you've got 4 languages, you never fit in, because I was Hungarian in a Slovak school. where we were persecuted quite a bit, and we were blackballed. So essentially, you're not going to get a good education or get a great job. You were already an outlaw there. So then you come here, and then you still don't fit in because you're not really Australian. And then I went to a very, very Australian area, which was Liverpool in Sydney. And I was the only one girl.
Yeah.
Yep, that went down well. Didn't know which way to walk home before I got bashed or on the bus. And so, you know, that fighting for your right to live and to be yourself was always my story. And yeah, but I tried the normal life and it didn't work. I got married for 1 year and then got on the back of a motorbike and just ran away with the love of my life, who I'm with for 30 years and still in love.
Wow.
And we have these beautiful children. We homeschooled them, so we lived a sovereign life, and I hear a lot of that.
Yeah.
This idea of a sovereign life, but what does it look like in reality? It's it looks very messy. It looks very scary sometimes, and sometimes it is unbelievably, and I'm going to say predominantly, it's an unbelievably beautiful life, because you are really walking to your own drumbeat. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when this sort of, can I say the word shit show happens?
Oh, yes, you can.
Yes.
That's why we like
Very-
Jessica. She says those F-bombs, and so do I in my house sometimes, a lot of times. So
Yeah.
I just cannot believe that I'm back here again. It feels like I'm here, but it's almost like this is what I was born to do.
Yeah.
Now I've had that life lesson. I have lived that sovereign life. I came from non-freedom to freedom. Well, actually, I went from totally no freedom, where, you know, literally in just so people understand what communism does look like, it looks like this. Police can come into your house anytime. They can take your parents away anytime, and they will tell you so. They will tell you at school to not listen to your parents, because your parents don't really know, because you're not really educated in the current most amazing scientific manner. Farmers are just dumb. They're just there to make us food. Not really relevant. And you know, your parents go to every communist meeting, and if you don't go, someone will dob you in anyway. Who the secret police are, you don't actually know, but you know they're among you. So that is really truly the life that my mum and dad lived, and were brave enough to you know, at 40 years old with no language and 2 children, and start again, and $2,000, because that's all they had. That's pretty damn good. That's my parents.
How were they, Csilla, coming to Australia? Like, was that...
Just excited. You know, I'm about to have my mum's birthday party on the Saturday. And I don't do birthdays, by the way. Not because I'm religious or anything like that, but we just chose to go, well, if that's something that's sold to us, we just go, well, we don't feel like, we feel like celebrating every day.
Yes, I used to say that
you know,
too.
like
Birthdays are every day.
Yeah, and even Christmas, we're like, well, we sort of stepped out, because for me it was a falsity anyway. So, so I guess the question was,
your parents, like, coming from that environment, what was it like for them to turn up in Australia?
Oh, you have to imagine they didn't even know, like in the communist country back in that day, they didn't actually know what Australia looked like. We didn't get information from the West. It was only one channel, and the channel was only communist. So it was only whatever the propaganda was, and everybody knew. So everyone stopped watching it. So Australia, stop watching that shit, or watch it and spy on them. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. So it was pretty frightening, because they really didn't know what they were coming to see, and they heard things like there's snakes on the street, you have to have electric fences because, you know, it's dangerous, people just wear thongs. But funnily enough, my mum actually said, if they're wearing thongs, it can't be that hard to survive.
So she could see through the bullshit already.
She could, and she wanted to. And where I was going with that is, we're actually holding a birthday party, because we don't do birthdays, but it's my mum's 80th on Saturday. And we're doing a cowboy and Indians.
Well, you do them when you choose to do them.
But in particular, right now, because freedom is so important, her original dream at 11 was to be a cowboy. Yeah, true story. So she was going to be a cowboy. Her name is Big Bill. She made a group. They even, where they were studying, they were closer to the border to Austria. And she just told me the full story, because I really wanted to know even more of the details. So she's starting to really recall. And it was just a beautiful story of her wanting to go to the West. And she was going to be a big bill. And they had a treasurer.
Wow.
They were saving up money. No one knows where the money went. She can't remember.
Okay.
I'm sure the treasurer was fine. But
Yeah.
she did get out. And so we're having a Cowboys and Indians
Nice.
Saturday event. Yes. And all the grandchildren and all the sons are going to be competing in a outlaw Cowboys Indians. But we're going to mix them because, you know, none of this segregation rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nice.
so it's a big story. It is a big story, and it's almost surreal.
Story.
And I think if you didn't know me, you'd go, "Oh, she's just making it up, right?"
Yeah, but it fits in so well with the narrative now. I mean,
Yes,
people like your
yeah.
mum can probably see
Yep.
so much of what's going on that's not
Oh,
really
absolutely.
true.
Yeah, homeschooling the 4 kids, or 5 of them, because my stepson was with me for 2.5 years because he had such a horrible, not a horrible, just an ineffective time.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it was all negative. I think some of that is necessary, and
Yeah.
we just saw that he wasn't progressing the way he should have been.
Yeah.
And so in grade 6 we pulled him out and we homeschooled him for 2.5 years, but the other kids went from scratch. But since then I ended up writing the book, and then when I wrote the book I started more of the tutoring that I was beginning to do, because there was other neighbours that were going, and people that we knew, they were going, well, they're doing so well, could you, something's not working for us. So they asked me to start tutoring their kids, and I was like, I'm totally not ready for that. You know, I can screw up my own kids, but somebody else's, I don't know how teachers do it, because like truly that's
I
a
used to
hard
say
gig.
that.
So if anyone comes back at me with you don't like teachers, blah blah blah, it's your stuff.
Me
So,
too. Still say that.
love the teachers.
Yeah.
I don't know how they
Hard
can
job.
do it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where the beginning was, and the tutoring then took me to more tutoring and seeing the curriculum. And I can, from my perspective and from my life experiences and having seen what is in the curriculum, it is absolutely becoming socialistic. And it was one of the terms my mum used when she said, I said like, oh, how can a grade 6 student be doing assignments that are where they have to reference, and they're only allowed to reference .gov.edu, .org maybe, or if you're referencing anything different, then it, you know, it's probably how it's not really
Not
legitimate.
free.
It's not legitimate either.
Yeah.
So seeing that the progression of
Yeah.
because imagine it's been 25 plus years since I've been homeschooling and tutoring and then consulting for the homeschooling, and it's progressively worse, and it's going towards that communistic side where you're in grade 6 potentially, e.g. in a very in a private school, you are having to write essays and referencing very certain particular articles, but also you're putting in this massive amount of work when they're learning about something very simple. And my mum called it paper pushing. She said, that's what we did in communism, Csilla. And I'm like, what? And she goes, that's what we used to do in communism, because we just made a lot of work that had a lot of words and you could interpret it, whatever, but it was just paper pushing. It was just to keep you busy, so you don't have time to think.
Yeah.
So that was
For
my
yourself.
mum. Oh, for yourself.
for
Oh,
yourself.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm mostly picking up of now is that it's always a path, and it is actually Tim who really pointed this out to me, and it's so true, that it's a path to leading to another path. So, you know, you never...
Homeschooling is a path.
Oh,
to
no. Education system is a path to a path.
Yes,
so
education
when they
system,
sell you
yes.
0 to 12,
Yeah.
they sell you that. That's just the interim of then you have to go to uni, right?
Yes, I see what you mean.
Path
yes.
to a path to a path.
Yeah.
And then you've got to be
job.
just right. So then you've got the job.
Yeah.
But then you've got the HECS debt. So it's a very
Yeah.
interesting, I just found it really interesting where it was heading. And I had the absolute privilege of watching over time where it was heading, and this whole region of the Sunshine Coast where we live, specifically to the sunny coast here, I had all different walks of life. So whether they were in Coolum, or whether they were in grammar, whether they were St. John's, I had all of those different schools. So I got to see the whole curriculum, which is exactly the same, delivered differently, but it's exactly the same.
That's amazing to me that no one even questions that the curriculum is the same worldwide pretty well. Like, how can that be a thing even? that the
pretty
curriculum could say
frightening.
the same worldwide.
Yeah, it is pretty
It is a thing.
interesting.
Yeah.
It is a thing.
Yeah,
it
if
is
you
a thing.
haven't
And I really
noticed that before.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to notice. That.
And I'm
all
a
the
really
same.
positive person, so I don't want to be like, oh, looking where the problem is. I really don't. I look
Yeah.
at where the solution is, right?
Yeah.
But it's so blatant now.
Yeah.
And then what has progressed
Just being
this
aware
year.
of it. Yeah.
And I can predict who's going to not buy the story of an alternative story. I can tell you who that is straight away. And the people that have had some problems with us have all been those who've been very highly educated and are not thinkers. And we are living in a time of the educated, and we need more than ever the thinkers.
Yeah.
And critical thinking, problem solving, walk your own path, or just suck up and see how you go. That's just
Yeah. One of the mums in our
Squashed.
group, actually, when I was at a business mums meeting with her, and she found out that I unschooled my 3 children.
great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So she said to me, Ilka, so I've heard that they don't often match up to all the evidence is kind of based on homeschooled children. There's not a lot on unschooled children, but I said yes, but that's because they will not fit in the box. These children will not. If you're unschooling a child, that's where they're really getting to, what they want to do each day, how much
And
when
that's
they get
tough.
up in the morning. Yeah,
And it's almost
so there's a lot
almost
more, even
a
more
leap
freedom.
of faith.
Yes,
So I
yes.
congratulate you, because I still, and mind you, I was back there, but I still kind of played both games. So that's hard as well, because you're sort of one foot in,
definitely.
one
That's
foot
why you
out.
helped me too, because I had to, in some ways, play both games. Yeah,
But mostly you did it.
Yes,
That was even
yeah.
more trust than
Yes.
I had at that point in time, right?
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
But I was watching that space unroll, and I watched that corrupted too.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you how it's corrupted.
yeah.
We all
You
know.
watch what
Yeah.
get corrupted?
Unschooling get corrupted
Oh,
to
yes.
some extent,
Okay.
and,
Yes.
and at the beginning of it, it was very beautiful. And we're talking about children that are maybe in the forest, or they're here creating something. But then I saw this moment in time where it changed to gaming, and I watched all these children, in some way. Some of them, not all of them.
Yeah,
There's no one thing fits all. What is that saying?
yeah.
But
yeah.
I did watch a lot of them kind of
yeah.
do a lot of gaming, where they were then no longer creating, they were then playing other people's games, or they were watching other people create a game. And I was like, that's not, I don't believe that. I mean, yeah, you are there.
And that's a
Popping
hard
up.
one too, because the parents are there all day, and that's why Joe and I
Yep.
say, in our group, that it's a village that raises the child.
It's just,
we're
it's
so
lovely.
this is so new, this
Yes.
shift
Yes.
that we're going through at the moment. So we've all had massive problems in being the leaders, whichever path we've taken.
early adopters.
Any step towards
Yeah.
any step towards self-governance creates
And the first adopters are always, the renegades, right?
yeah.
So you're the renegades, and you're just flying by the seat of your pants, or
Yeah.
whatever that saying is. Although I did teach really good English. But you know what I mean? Like, you really don't have a path.
They don't.
And that's why I
it.
say that's
yeah.
well done.
Yeah,
Well
I,
done.
I have struggled greatly to find myself, because I push my kids down the
other-
school
yep,
path,
yep.
the uni path, and because I felt that, because I was a school dropout, and felt that that was the way to send them. This will be a happy life for you, all coming from
Don't have to
my
have-
own lack.
Yeah.
Because you were told you have a lack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only been really in my late 40s. I'm early 50s now, and I'm beginning to find myself.
Oh, how beautiful. And does it have to be instant? I mean, really, honestly, like, I remember
can't. I don't
stepping
think it
into
can be.
myself at 20, 22, 23, when I made that wild choice of going, there's the husband, I left that, got on the back of the motorbike, drove off, left uni. My mum and dad, to their credit,
Yeah.
kind of tumbled with that decision, but I had this absolute gut feeling that this was going to change my life so much. So that happened, but I had a lot of, do you know what I mean? I had a lot of things before, like you might, you had a little bit, whereas I had a lot more of that not fitting in, and and then trying to desperately fit in, and you just can't.
Yeah.
You try to please everybody,
Yeah.
including, well, he's a lovely guy, and I'm now married, and I'm just going to be at uni, and then at 30, I'm going to finish uni, then I'm going to do a year of travel, the compulsory travel, and then I'm going to work, and at 30 something, I'm going to have my children. That was my plan.
Yeah.
And then, that went out the door, and it was that gut feeling that went like, no, I'm just going to do that, because I think I'm so damn miserable at 22 that something's got to give. I can't do it anymore. And I was pressed earlier.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter when you get pressed but you did change.
I spoke with a guy in his 40s yesterday who told me how he just changed his career, and he was playing it down. And I said, no, that's amazing. He's moving into something more creative, woodworking, making tables, that sort of thing.
Wow.
I said, no, I meet people in their 60s who are still complaining about being in the job that they're in, who haven't been brave enough to take that step.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. And I think that affirmation from you is so lovely. You underestimate what that one person can say to you, don't you think? Like it could be the spark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think humanity must not forget that.
Yeah.
I'm also very, very disturbed by the education system with regards to the climate change. I'm going to be really honest, because I think, just as with everything else, please understand, everyone, as with everything else, there's been insertions, there's been inversions, and there is this, if there is a movement of young people, you want to make sure you manage that, don't you?
Yes.
How much better than pull on their heartstrings about how we are ruining this earth, and how human beings, the amount of times I've heard human beings should just be wiped off the face of the earth, and Mother Earth would be better off without them. Well, no, we are intricate jelly-like beings. We are Earth, for goodness sakes.
Well, that's probably where my story kind of became. You always make changes usually out of pain. Yes. Right? So the same for your story.
Absolutely.
Well, I grew up in the timber industry in Australia.
Oh, wow.
So my family ran a very small business that, supported the town. We were one of the largest businesses in the town. And and climate change was the thing that shut us down. So, so the pain and the whole
Nothing wrong with transition. Just let it be honest.
So we've transitioned and done something different, but nothing else could. Up until that point, they couldn't find was saying that we were doing any damage whatsoever, and we were. So
I'm open to that.
And this was many years of them going through lots of different kinds of scientific things and whatever. But the level of lies and things I saw on the media, like went through that whole experience, like even myself being interviewed for the media and my actual stuff being cut up, and a different story being told. The forests in Tasmania being put on, the ones that get clear-felled, which is where they would always go, and they would put the clear-felled forests where our forests were not clear-felled, but they would put them on as our forests when they were doing their media coverage of us. So
maybe she's making it up.
Yeah, maybe I'm making that up, exactly. But the level of lies was just, I saw what was possible as far as lies go. You can have whatever beliefs you have about my family and what our intentions were, as far as I was the 5th generation to, do that particular work. And this area itself, the Sunshine Coast, has actually been built around that industry as well. So,
and Tim always says, like, don't be so high horse, like this was swamp. He remembers, building fences and stuff.
And I'm not saying that humans aren't capable of wiping out large tracts of natural vegetation, and we could go too far, but a small family business that's trying to that started back when that was actually impossible. If you just think about the kind of tools that they had like 5 generations ago, and how much timber could actually be taken out, and how much that was being used for people to use,
Yeah.
then it's like, and yes, it can go too far, but if we've got, like, again, we're thinking we can manage our resources, and we can be custodians of the planet. Like, that's what my dad would always say, that we were probably the most conservative. My husband was often out there fighting fires. You know, and we didn't see the people who we called the green movement back then would come up to be the people to tell us that we couldn't do what we were doing, and yet they were not to be ever seen when there was an actual fire that they actually had to go and
to actually fix.
And my dad used to say that the fires would increase a lot if the timber industry isn't there, because it kind of does manage the forests as well, because you can get roads through and all of these things. But I mean, this is like
it's huge.
Even to say this is
the
crazy
lies
talk.
Have been
it's
huge.
Crazy talk. You know?
But the lies have been huge.
I saw the lies, but you can believe me or not. You saw the lies.
I saw that.
And Jo's got her own story around that too.
And I'm just
where she's
thinking
been
about
in the horse racing industry, which is another story
Oh.
altogether.
The communism that you saw in your early years as a child. And what you're seeing again now, that's similar to that.
So at the beginning, in I think it was April, when we had that first shutdown, the masks came out, and of course there was no mask. And please understand, everyone, we've got a touring company, and my son's a little bit famous, and he goes overseas, and we had everything in place.
As in a music touring company.
Music touring,
yeah.
So touring, as in, what are they? Common Folk Records. I'm the mum. And so we were ready to ship everybody off to Europe, and we made the week before, because we're watching what's happening. So 2 weeks prior to the shutdown, we made the final decision. One of our sons, who's the chef on tour, he was already sent through because he was having a little holiday with his mates prior to the tour. And that was going to be a UK and EU wide tour, and I think finishing with Canada, or the other way around, something like that. Seems like such a long time ago, and so not so long ago either. So we sent him off, and so we're watching this, what was about to happen. So he was the last one to come through, and the flight that he had, because we had to call him back because the shutdown happened. And we were very conservative. We actually tried to get the masks and everything, and we even pulled it earlier than others did, and we copped a little bit of flack for that, right?
From
just
the
a
fans,
little
from
bit.
your-
No, not from the fans, just because you imagine that the logistics of what it is to tour. When you're touring a
massive.
capacity of 5,000-10,000 people, like that's the sort of sometimes hundreds, but you imagine the gear you have to send through and all of that. And so we were very conservative, and we didn't know, and none of us knew if this virus was like you had to give it a chance. And if government is going, hey, this is horrible, we don't know what this is. I think that was a good move. We were behind that. And we already couldn't get the masks because, people were buying it up, sending it to China or something. I don't know, but Bunnings had no masks left. So anyway, so by April, so fast forward that, I made this, and the story is going somewhere. I sometimes embellish it and then come back. So I embellish and then I'll come back, and you'll have to prompt me sometimes.
I've been hanging out with Ilka.
Oh, excellent.
I do it.
Excellent. Do you? One of those. Yeah. So back to the story. I made this. Then I was getting suspicious. By April, I'm very suspicious. By then, I've had about a month of just going, oh, this smells. I had a vision. I'm going to call it that. I had a vision where I saw a bunch of ants, and somebody did this, and the ants had to reroute. And I was like, oh. So more research. So by April, everybody's locked down, and I did my little my famous undies kind of, like I can't find anything, and I'm renovating, right? So I put my G-string, my black G-string. It was a good looking G-string. I put it on my face, and quite frankly, it's really effective. It was better than the mask, seriously. And I put that on. I did this little impromptu like, oh, here comes the communists. Back to your story. Here comes the communists, because I think something really stinks here, and my gut has never been wrong, or whatever you want to call it, intuition. I don't know, my juju. I call it my juju. My juju's going, my radar's going, and I did this thing, and I got the biggest flap for my not flack, from my family, my extended family, and that was really, it was that we all experienced that on different levels, where you just like going, what? Why are you criticizing me for that? Because I think something's really wrong here, and I was just trying to be funny, like, oh, there's no more us. So then I took it a bit far, because back to the communist thing, May 1. So I understand May 1 is a very beautiful big day, and on the Sunshine Coast, on May 1, they allowed us, the beautiful, beautiful government, allowed us to congregate at the park. I was like, May 1? I'm like, smells like communism. And I put my undies back on, and I made an impromptu kind of exercise class, because I was an aerobic instructor long ago.
Yeah.
And I went like, I like to do this, but now I'm doing this. And whoa, that blew up. And apparently, but back to that story, it seems like I just couldn't understand the timing. To me, the timing was a little bit too close. It was almost like a signal to say, we're here. And they like to do that. I mean, when I say they, what it smelt like to me was communism, and therefore May 1 is the perfect day, because that is the People's Day, where we get to celebrate communism. And you spend hours and hours in the old country, and you're in the streets just going, yay for communism, even though no one believes in communism. Everybody hates it. Everyone's just doing it because you don't know who's spying on you. But we always have big lineups and big like like it was just a celebration of the People's Day, because we get to live with no freedom, which is true freedom. Think on that for a minute.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. And that was May 1. We were allowed out here on the Sunshine Coast to congregate.
The dates are very important. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just sort of going, are you fucking with me now? Like I wasn't born yesterday. I'm thinking something sticks. So that was my So that's when the family thing blew up a lot more, because they felt like I was disrespectful, and I'm saying, hey, the Nazis are here, maybe, I don't know, but this is not good, and they felt like I was disrespectful and I was dangerous.
So what do you do with that? Because we've got women
You have
in
to
our
love them.
group.
You have to love them.
Yeah.
You have to love them. They're just a reflection of you.
Yeah.
And they're not quite there yet. Or they're on a different path. Not even not quite there yet is a little bit facetious. And it's a little bit like
they may never get there. Hey,
they may never get there. Yeah, and it's not their. It's kind of not how they're going to contribute to this life or whatever we're experiencing here. Hologram, I don't know. Because you have to start contemplating everything, don't you? When
you
that
do.
matrix
That's what
collapses.
happens.
But again, back to that matrix. When the matrix collapses.
Yeah.
If you are used to holding on to something, you're going to hold on to that structure, really, the path. You're going to stay on that path, because if you veer off, you've never been in the forest, just cutting the wood and surviving.
And I think that what you said about you're in the street there in communist town, and
the whole country.
You're doing it even though you don't want to be doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Now that is a big statement.
That's a big statement.
That's a big statement.
Because you're
That's
scared.
how I've lived my whole life.
Yeah,
it's
because
like,
you're scared.
Do it because you want to do it, not because you're scared that if you do something. And if we continue to always live like we're only doing things because we're scared not to, where does that head? The other thing to always contemplate is, where does that kind of thinking head? And to me, it heads towards somewhere I don't want to go.
Because it's like you want to be babysat, because the decisions, but you haven't made those pivotal decisions along the way. You have followed the rule book, and then now, and it's worked for you. So I don't understand. Again, I understand if it's worked for you so far. So why wouldn't you adhere to it even furthermore? Quite frankly, the Australian public, I feel you have been lulled to sleep in some extent. Canada, as well, in a way, America maybe, and New Zealand.
Well, it's like the frog in the slow boiling pot.
It is, and nothing's really gone wrong here, has it?
Yeah, no.
So
As long as we comply, nothing goes wrong.
Well, now we're seeing those little the people that are getting into trouble are starting to question it, or they're a doctor and they're starting to go, hey, and all of a sudden they're in this lot. They're the conspiracists, and they were always good people, and you know, but they really quickly fall here.
Yeah.
Was the full extension of it, where it's very hard to fight back because you have been constrained.
Yeah, in a communist country.
Not only
yeah.
for one generation,
Yeah.
2 generations,
Yes.
2 generations, 3
3 generations.
generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was my
Yeah.
parents that always, you know, my most vivid memory is my parents were organising the getting out, and that was a whole year of just paying people off under the table. Our entire family didn't know, so it was only the 4 of us.
That's a thing in itself too, isn't it?
Think about
Imagine
that.
if you want to just travel freely, you have
Yep.
to start paying people off under the table. You have to do all these secretive things.
Yeah.
You're not free to travel.
No.
Yeah, and that's a basic human right.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that restriction.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's
So
for
if
your
we-
own good,
If you
though.
forget that
It's for your own
free
good.
travel is a basic human right,
It's for your own good.
then, you know.
It's for your own. They know better.